Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art, history enthusiasts, and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with yet another video. Today, what are we gonna do today? Today, we're gonna talk about some stuff. We're gonna talk about Jack Daniels. Old number 7, y'all. Tennessee sour mash whiskey. But before we get started with that, I just want to say hello again to you all. I'm back. I'm back with another video. And no, I'm so sorry. Today it's not going to be another installment of Understanding the Shining. It's not going to be part 23. I'm going to do that next time. And well, let me just go ahead and be 100%, what do we call it? Transparent with you. My method of doing those videos is extremely tedious. The Understanding the Shining video series. My method of doing that is just horrible. And I've been kind of thinking of a new way to do it that doesn't take it out of me as badly as it does currently with my current method or the method I've used up until now. So I am going to have to modify that. I'm not going to be able to do the screenshots anymore. It's just too much time and too much effort. And I'm going to have to do I can't, the reason I started doing the screenshot method was to avoid copyright strikes. Okay. And I'm just going to have to do it a different way because that worked for a little while, but now I just don't have the energy to do it that way anymore. I'm going to have to do red ball through it or talk about a frame of the movie and then pause and then go to the next thing that I want to talk about and then come back, switch the recorder on again, and so on and so forth. That's what I'm going to be doing from this point forward. So next video, I'm not going to promise, but my intention, I'll let you know my intention. My next video is going to be the Understanding the Shining part 23. And interestingly enough, as you can see here on my dashboard, it says that currently I've got 235 videos. So I guess Understanding the Shining Part 23 is going to be video number 237 in my collection. So I think that's fitting, don't you? But today, I'm going to talk about good old Jack. Yeah. There's some stuff I found that is interesting that I need you to know about if you're following with me, this journey, if you're on this journey with me, in that you're following along with my videos. How deeply I go into this stuff. If you're one of my regulars, if you're one of the people who's been riding with me since more or less day one, you know what I go through. You see it. I show it. I show you the process. I don't just throw up a nice polished, finished video that gives you a beginning, a middle, and end, a thesis statement, an argument, a conclusion, or what, and I do all of that in 5 to 15 minutes. No, you and me, we are together. Okay. We do this together. You see me do it. You watch what I go through in these videos. You are more or less present with me. I mean, not right there while I'm doing it. You see the video after I do it. But you see what I go through in the process of doing this research. I put it all out there for you. I don't hide any part of my process. Do you get me? I do not. I repeat, I do not hide any part of my process. The only part of my process that you can't see is what's going on inside my head. That's about it. And there's no way for you to really truly be able to see that. So I'm showing you the next best thing. And, but since I'm on that topic, I just dropped another Substack post, when was it? This morning. I'm making this video late Thursday night. And 13 hours ago, it's a lucky number 13, new Substack essay just dropped Understanding The Shining. What is there to understand? Well, if you go ahead and read through this and click on the little link here, I'm doing this in Safari. For some reason, Substack is not, and there's our Jack, our dearest, most darling Jack Torrance, in the gold room. And I got something to talk to y'all about today, children, about Jack and the gold room and Jack Daniels. And we might even be going to the Holy Land today. Maybe, possibly, perhaps. I got some stuff to tell you. About Jack Torrance and Mr. Jack Daniel. But where was I going with this and what? Yes, I'm sorry. This browser, is not good for Substack. So here it is. I opened it in a different kind of browser. So you can see it. There I am again. Objects of Art, the Art Decoder's Journal. This is my latest article, my latest essay, Understanding The Shining. What is there to understand? And I tell you a little bit about my process, tell you a little bit about Jack Daniels, Jack Danny, and the Spirit. And if you've been riding with me, you've heard of this before, right? Let me click on this so you can see it. I've got, oh, how marvelous. I've got 4 likes and 2 comments. And I know who those two people are. Excuse me. I try to talk too fast and then everything goes to hell. It's Richard and Gershom, and Richard and Gershom, you guys are just awesome people. They support me. They like all the stuff I do. They put comments. I bet there's a couple comments down here. Let's see. There you guys are. Gershom and Richard Stashy. Oh my goodness, you guys. Richard, there you go. Writer and movie lover. Go see him on Substack. I don't know if he's doing anything. I should check, shouldn't I? Hold up. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me pause it. I don't know if Richard wants everybody to see this. Let me see if everything's okay. Okay, no problem. I don't see anything like, that maybe Richard wouldn't want me to show you. This is his public profile on Substack. So thank you, Richard and Gershom. Hello, Gershom. There you are. So they're not writers. They are enthusiasts. And I appreciate both of them so much. You guys are marvelous. Awesome. There's our girl. I guess she's supposed to represent me, at least partially. There she is in New York in, I guess, the 1940s. I don't know if this was one of Stanley's, boos before he met Christiane. But, no, some people thought that was me. It kind of could be. I don't look quite like her, but I am a brunette. For those of you who are wondering, I don't know why you would ever wonder about that. But yes, I have brown hair. And she looks amazing. This is a Stanley Kubrick photograph. All right. And she's going to be on I think she's going to be my thumbnail for today. So this is, I don't know, is this a coffee talk? Are we going to do a coffee talk today? I don't know, like Linda Richman on Saturday Night Live, Mike Myers. I don't know, you guys, but that's what we're going to do today. And I wanted to let you know, go check out the Substack if you haven't already. And it looks like video number 237 for me is going to be Understanding the Shining Part 23. So, you guys, wonderful people, marvelous people, terrific people, beautiful people. I'm so glad that you're here. Fire up that percolator, why don't you? It is time. It is time for you to get your coffee paraphernalia and accoutrement together. All right? Get your creamer. I've been using non-dairy creamer lately. I don't even, oh my God, what if I find a Jack Daniels flavored coffee creamer? Wouldn't that be something? But I don't drink, by the way. I don't get it twisted. I am not an alcohol or spirit enthusiast in more ways than one. There's a line. I have to share this with you. I'm sorry. There's a line in this essay that I wrote that, yeah, there it is. And I wasn't thinking when I wrote this line in this essay, in this paragraph, it says here, let me use this essay to give you a peek behind the curtain. Okay. And then I write, you'd be surprised where that bottle of Jack Daniels has taken me. I'm an idiot. I'm so stupid. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking when I wrote that. But doesn't that sound hilarious? But that's, you know, that I don't mean it, like, as far as, like, you know, being, a lush. No, I mean, like, you know, my research into this bottle and this label and everything. You know, last we left off, part 22, Jack was in the gold room talking to Lloyd, all right? And Lloyd, the ghost bartender, or is he a ghost, pours Jack a glass of ghost liquor. And that liquor happens to be Old Number 7, Jack Daniel's Old Number 7, Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Really? Distilled and bottled by Jack Daniel's Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee, USA. Alcohol 40% by volume. Whew! 80 proof. And the research I've been doing tonight says it used to be even stronger than that. So here we go. Let's get into it, shall we, y'all? Get your coffee if you're doing coffee. Like maybe you're one of those early riser types, and you got up at the ass crack of dawn, because you're just one of those people, and you like to be alone early in the morning when it's still dark out, and have your coffee and like think your thoughts and whatever. And you know, you just sit there alone on your porch in your kitchen, just stare into that cup of coffee. Oddly enough, y'all correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but like if somebody pours whiskey into their coffee, all of a sudden that coffee becomes Irish. It's called Irish coffee, isn't it? But anyway, tell me about that, because I don't know. I'm not an enthusiast. But Jack Daniel's, let's get this going. Get your coffee. If you have chores to do, go get suited up and put your headphones on and like do whatever like grown up people do. Do what you need to do, but do it while listening to my video. Jack Daniel's, here it goes. Jack Daniel's is a brand of Tennessee whiskey produced at Jack Daniel Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee, which has been owned by the Brown-Forman Corporation since 1956. Packaged in square bottles, Jack Daniel's Black Label Tennessee whiskey sold 12.9 million 9-liter cases in 2017. Other brand variations, such as Tennessee Honey, Tennessee Apple, Gentleman Jack, Tennessee Fire, and Ready to Drink RTD products, brought the total to more than 16.1 million equivalent adjusted cases for the entire Jack Daniel's family of brands. Oh my God. Wow. This is a very popular brand. And some people, you know, those who doubt me and my methods and the conclusions that I come to in these videos and in my research, they probably said that's probably why Stanley Kubrick chose this for his movie. That, you know, that's why he didn't pick any other brand. He picked Jack Daniel's, because it's the most popular one. I doubt it. You know, call me crazy. Go ahead, call me crazy in the comments. Why don't you? Like that's never happened before. And no, I'm not going to get to the point. I'm going to do this my way. Stanley picked this brand because of the label. And I talked about it before. It's in the article. It's in the Substack essay that I dropped today. Jack is the father, Danny is the son, Jack Daniel. And then the inside of that bottle, the contents of the bottle is alcohol, whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, I guess. But alcohol, another word for alcohol is spirit. So when you take a father and you take a son and you take a spirit, what you're going to get is a trinity. All right. So and I said, I think that has to do with the Trinity test. Because like I told you, I keep telling you, if you've been riding with me, if you're new here, that's my theory, that Stanley Kubrick is really talking about the Manhattan Project when he made The Shining. That's what he really wanted to talk about. He's fascinated with the atomic bomb. Stanley was fascinated with the atomic bomb, and he just didn't understand the horror of it all. And he was either trying to make sense of it, or he was trying to tell us something about it that he had seen or he had observed, and that probably he had a pretty good idea that most other people hadn't seen or observed, because we live in a simulation, for goodness sake. I don't mean that like a conspiracy theorist. No. What I mean is like, our eyes are not our own. Our eyes are trained by school, education, religion, culture, all this stuff. Our eyes don't work the way they naturally should. They're tainted. They're corrupted. They're, no. And Stanley is trying to like break that spell. Really. So yeah, this is the Trinity, but there's a little more going on. It's not just that. And in this Wikipedia page here, Jack Daniels, it tells you a little bit about the life of the founder of the company, Jasper Daniel. I guess Jack is short for Jasper. I didn't know that, but the Jack Daniels brand official website suggests that its founder, Jasper Newton Jack Daniel, was born in 1850. His tombstone bears that date, but says his exact birth date is unknown. Okay, cool. The company website says it is customary to celebrate his birthday in September. He might be a Virgo. Or maybe a Libra if he's born later in September. But according to the Tennessee State Library website in 2013, records list his birthday. Oh, he is a Virgo. September 5th, 1846. Who cares? I'm not reading you that because I give a damn about the life of Jasper Daniel, also known as Jack, the titular Jack Daniel. No, but because his name. That's what struck me when I looked at this. His name is not Jack. And Jack is usually, Jack could be short for all kinds of names. It could be short for John or Jonathan. I guess it could be short for Jasper too. It could be short for Jackson. It could be, I don't know if it might be a thing where it's short for James too. But here in this case, it is short for Jasper. Okay, cool. We're going to talk about Jasper later. Now, this is the page, the Wikipedia page for the brand. There's an old ad from 1908 edition from the Nashville Globe. Oh, they did advertising different back then. Like I said, it used to be 90 proof, 45% alcohol. Now it's 40% or 80 proof alcohol. That's very strong. What the hell is this? The reduction in alcohol content, which was done without any announcement publicly or changed the logo of the packaging, was noticed and condemned by Modern Drunkard magazine. And the magazine formed a petition drive for drinkers who disagree with the change. I didn't know that there was like a whole community surrounding liquor. I did not know, people. You know how ignorant I am about stuff that everybody else knows about? I have no idea. But like that, they give you a little bit of the company history here, and they tell you a little bit about Mr. Jack Daniel, also known as Jasper. And then I clicked over to here, bourbon whiskey, because look at this. Look at this. It's called Tennessee whiskey, but where's the damn label at? Hold on. Look at what it says here. Wait, sour mash whiskey. Okay, but if you remember distinctly in the movie, when Jack goes into the gold room and he sits at the bar and poof, Lloyd shows up. And what does Jack Torrance order? He orders bourbon. He does not order whiskey. And that's what I said. I'm going to research that one day. And here I am. I did it. Okay. So what the hell is going on? Tennessee whiskey. Okay. Do I have a page open for that already? No, that's later. But okay, might as well open a page for Tennessee whiskey. Why the hell not? Tennessee whiskey is straight whiskey produced in the U.S. state of Tennessee, although it has been legally defined as a bourbon whiskey. Hello. In some international trade agreements, most current producers of Tennessee whiskey disclaim references to their products as bourbon and do not label them as such on any of their bottles or advertising materials. That just makes me, people, that just makes me even more suspicious. Did you hear? I'll read it again because it's worth repeating. Tennessee whiskey is straight whiskey produced in the U.S. state of Tennessee. Although it has been legally defined as a bourbon whiskey in some international trade agreements, most current producers of whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, disclaim references to their product as quote-unquote bourbon and do not label them as such on any of their bottles or advertising materials. This is important. I just told you Jack orders bourbon. It's right there in the script. It's right there in the movie. He says, you could, give me a little bottle of bourbon. He says bourbon. He doesn't say whiskey. He doesn't say Tennessee whiskey. He doesn't say any kind of whiskey. He says bourbon. But, oh Lord, Stanley did a number on us. Again, he's done it again, y'all. He orders bourbon. He gets something that is technically, legally, as it says here, defined as a bourbon. But the people who make it don't want to call it that. They call it whiskey, Tennessee whiskey. And it's labeled, hello, where's the bottle? It's labeled as such. It says Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Old number 7. We talked about old number 7 too. Watch my videos. You'll find out what old number 7 means. Okay, so it's technically a bourbon, legally a bourbon, but it calls itself Tennessee whiskey. Stanley is trying to tell us something. It doesn't matter what it calls itself. It is what it is. I think that's what Stanley's trying to say. It doesn't matter that these people who make it want to distinguish it for some reason from bourbon. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what language they use. It doesn't matter what they put on the label. It is what it is, and it's going to be what it is all day and all night long, no matter what anybody says or prints or whatever. It's bourbon, legally defined as. I didn't know there were laws. So then let's go over to the page on bourbon. Bourbon whiskey, or simply bourbon, is a barrel-aged American whiskey made primarily from corn or maize. The name derives from the French House of Bourbon. B-O-U-R-B-O-N, Bourbon. Although the precise source of the inspiration is uncertain, contenders include Bourbon County, Kentucky, and Bourbon Street in New Orleans, both of which are named after the House of Bourbon. The name bourbon might not have been used until the 1850s, and the association with Bourbon County was not evident until the 1870s. Okay. Although bourbon may be made anywhere in the U.S., it is associated with the South United States, particularly Kentucky. Though a history, I got new glasses, I'm not used to them yet, through a history of advertising bourbon as a product of Kentucky with rural southern origins. Thanks to a market shift in the 1990s, it has also become a symbol of urbanization and sophistication, with a large consumer demographic belonging to the middle to upper class, including business and community leaders. Yeah, like, used to be that, like, this brand that we're talking about specifically, Jack Daniels, used to be, or still is really, associated with, like, rock and roll and that lifestyle. Like, I associate it with bands like Guns N' Roses, like from back in the day, right? Before they all kind of went to rehab. Like, it was all over the place. It was all over the place. It's an iconic bottle, and it's been around for quite a while, but this bottle and this label is what it is, right? So let's get back to bourbon whiskey. Bourbon was recognized in 1964 by the U.S. Congress as a distinctive product of the United States. Oh my. Bourbon sold in the U.S. must be produced within the U.S. from at least 51% corn and stored in a new container of charred oak. Oh. Oak barrels, eh? Like Oak Ridge, Tennessee? Mm-hmm. If you know, you know. If you've been following me, you follow me. Oak Ridge, Tennessee is a very, very important location for the Manhattan Project. This distinctive American liquor was heavily consumed by Americans in the 1990s? I guess so. After 1945, it became popular in Western Europe as well. In 1964, Americans consumed around 77 million gallons of bourbon. Oh my God. If you remember, like those of you who are old enough to remember, like in sitcoms and things from the like 50s, 60s, 70s, everybody was always mixing drinks. There was always that little bar or like that little, liquor cart in the living room, and a lot of these. I was just watching Bewitched the other day. All they do is drink martinis and stuff like that. So like liquor culture is pretty interesting as far as the United States is concerned. The history. Okay, distilling comes from present day Kentucky, but we're not talking about Kentucky. We're talking about Tennessee. So forget Kentucky. No, not today. I can't read through all this. Legal requirements. Oh Lord. Bottled like other whiskeys at 80 proof or more. Huh. Interesting. See, they've got all kinds of like rules and regulations that I'm not, it's not really pertinent to what I'm discussing today. But Jack Daniel's liquor, where is he? There he is. Jack Daniel's whiskey, bourbon, whatever. It's technically a bourbon, but it's they want to be associated with whiskey. The brand itself, they call it Tennessee whiskey because that's what they believe it is. They don't want bourbon. But Stanley said, excuse me, Stanley said, no. Jack asks for bourbon and he gets Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey. So it doesn't matter what they call it, it's still bourbon. I think that's the message. Now, why do I think that Stanley did that little loop-de-loop, flippity-flappity-floop for us? Well, this is why. The House of Bourbon, which is a royal dynasty from France, okay? The House of Bourbon, or Bourbon, is a dynasty that originated in the Kingdom of France as a branch of the Capetian dynasty, the Royal House of France. Bourbon kings first ruled France and Navarre in the 16th century. A branch descended from the French Bourbons, or I guess I just have to call it, I have to pronounce it correctly, from the French Bourbons. The French Bourbons came to rule Spain in the 18th century and is the current Spanish royal family. Other branches descended from the Spanish Bourbons held thrones in Naples, Sicily, and Parma. Today, Spain and Luxembourg have monarchs from the House of Bourbon. The royal Bourbons, originated in 1272 when Robert, the youngest son of King Louis IX of France, married the heiress of the Lordship of Bourbon. The house continued for 3 centuries as a cadet branch, serving as nobles under the direct Capetian and Valois kings. The senior line of the House of Bourbon became extinct in the male line in 1527 with the death of Duke Charles III of Bourbon. This made the junior Bourbon-Vendôme branch the genealogically senior branch of the House of Bourbon. In 1589, at the death of Henry III of France, the House of Valois became extinct in the male line. Under the Salic law, the head of the House of Bourbon, as the senior representative of the senior surviving branch of the Capetian dynasty, first prince of the blood, became King of France as Henry IV. Bourbon monarchs then united to France. What did I say? Bourbon monarchs then united to France to the part of the Kingdom of Navarre, north of the Pyrenees, which Henry's father had acquired by marriage in 1555. Okay, that's enough of that. Or is it? Oh shit, no. acquired by marriage in 1555, ruling both until the 1792 overthrow of the monarchy during the French Revolution, restored briefly in 1814, and definitively in 1815 after the fall of the First French Empire. The senior line of the Bourbons was finally overthrown in the July Revolution of 1830. A cadet Bourbon branch, the House of Orléans, then ruled for 18 years from 1830 to 1848, until it too was overthrown during the French Revolution of 1848. Okay. Now, why am I here? If you recall, I don't know if you do recall, but if you recall, I talked in one of my videos, you're going to have to go find it, of Stanley Kubrick's one of Stanley Kubrick's unrealized projects, the movie that he wanted to make about Napoleon Bonaparte. And the thing about that was that the studio didn't let him do it. The studio did not let him make the Napoleon movie that he wanted to make, that Stanley Kubrick wanted to make. I covered it in the whole, I might link to it in the description, just if you want like a little background of what I've already kind of explored with this topic. But Stanley Kubrick wanted to make a movie about Napoleon Bonaparte, and it was supposed to be like a 3-hour epic film. And there's a Taschen book, a big, fat, expensive, Taschen book that, I can't afford, but it's full of like, his notes and whatever about, he really wanted to make this movie, but Warner Brothers said nah. And, I think they're a bunch of jerks for not letting Stanley do what he wanted to do. So my theory is Stanley really wanted to make this Napoleon movie, but they wouldn't let him. And so instead of making the movie that he really wanted to make, he had to make what the studio told him to make. He had to make A Clockwork Orange. He had to make Barry Lyndon. He had to make The Shining. He had to make Full Metal Jacket. And unfortunately, the last movie, he had no choice but to make Eyes Wide Shut. I think everything after 2001, A Space Odyssey, was something that was foisted upon Stanley Kubrick. That he did, not because those were his first choices, or that's what he really, really, really wanted to do, but he was an employee of Warner Brothers, essentially. They were the ones funding his projects, and as the old saying goes, the customer is always right. So he had to dance to the song that they were playing, right? He had to make Clockwork. He had to make Barry Lyndon. He had to make The Shining. But instead of making them just straight up adaptations of the source material, in Clockwork Orange, in the case of Clockwork Orange, it's the book that it's based on. Probably same thing with Barry Lyndon. Shining, we know what book that's based on. That damn thing by Stephen King. And we're going to talk about that little so-and-so too today. Sneezy the Snowman. It's been a while, hasn't it? But he took the source material, Stanley, and he just used it as an outline to do what he really wanted to do. But by making the Napoleon movie, I don't think that Stanley Kubrick wanted to make the Napoleon movie just to make a movie about this controversial historic figure, Napoleon Bonaparte. No, he was probably going to fill that movie with all kinds of symbols, all kinds of iconography, all kinds of messages and things for people like you and me to decode and decipher and think about and whatever. But he couldn't do it. He couldn't make the Napoleon movie. So he took the things that he wanted to talk about in the Napoleon movie and made them a part of the other movies that he had no choice but to make because Warner Brothers was cracking the whip. All right. So that's why I believe Bourbon is mentioned in The Shining. And it's not even mentioned directly. I mean, it's mentioned. Jack orders specifically. You can go review the beautiful bean footage. But Jack specifically orders bourbon and he gets whiskey, which is technically and legally bourbon. Okay, and now he orders bourbon, the House of Bourbon, and like which monarchs, and it, you know, we monarchs of a list of bourbon rulers. Here they are. During the Napoleonic period, where are we? There, the Napoleonic era, which lasted, as far as Wikipedia and probably all the history books say, 1799 to 1815. So, it says list of Bourbon rulers, 1799, right down here is Louis the, I guess, 18th, right? And he was, I guess, a claimant to the throne of France. But I don't know if that means he didn't, I don't think he really ruled, because like Napoleon kind of made a mess. And Napoleon crowned himself emperor. He didn't even have the Pope do it. He did it himself. He was like Naram Shin in that stele I told you about one time in a video from Mesopotamia, like where he deifies himself, Naram Shin deifies himself by putting the horned helmet on, and the horns represent, you know, a deity or you know, a divine or supernatural being. And Naram Shin said, no, I'm the number one. I'm not just the victor of this battle that's depicted on this stele. I am basically a living god. That was what Naram Shin's message was. It's kind of what Napoleon's message was. He was extremely rebellious. He was extremely subversive. He, you know, I suppose he honored, because he had to, the church, but I don't think he had a lot of respect for him, to be honest with you. So he, you know, Napoleon basically coronated himself. And during this Napoleonic era, Louis the 18th, Louis Stanislas Xavier, he was born in November 17th, 1755 to the 16th of September, 1824, known as the Desired, French, Le Désiré, was King of France from 1814 to 1824. 1814? Oh, hold on, wait a minute. 1814, wait. Le Désiré. He was a claimant during the Napoleonic era. Okay. Except for a brief interruption during the 100 Days in 1815, before his reign, he spent 20 years in exile from France, beginning in 1791. Oh my goodness. During the French Revolution and the First French Empire, which is, as you see the little blurb up here, the French Empire, known retroactively as the First French Empire, was the empire ruled by Napoleon Bonaparte. I told you, Napoleon displaced him. Napoleon Bonaparte, who's established the French hegemony over much of continental Europe at the beginning of the 19th century. It lasted from 18th of May, 1804 to the 6th of April, 1814. And let me just open it up. 'Cause why not? And then again, briefly, from 20th March, 1815 to the 7th of July, 1850, yeah, when Napoleon was exiled to St. Helena. Now, what's the imperial? Oh, I need to see the imperial coat of arms. Yes. What the hell is it? Of course, they got the Aquila on there. And they've got like what looks like a knight's kind of helmet and faceplate. There's the N. There's this down here. What is this, Lord? Let's take a look. What is this? What is this sign of benediction over here? Oh, children. I'm going to have to like do a whole, oh my God in heaven. I'm going to have to do a whole like analysis of this. Look at this. That's Jesus right there. That's the hand of the Lord, Jesus Christ, the sign of benediction. And oddly enough, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. But today was his, and I was a little bit sad about that. I'm a child of the 90s. I was, you know, I'm from the 80s, but like I was old enough to enjoy heavy metal music, and rock and roll music in the 90s. And Ozzy's death hit me hard. It really did. And this is what Sharon was doing at the funeral. This, she didn't do a peace sign. No, she did this. I'm over here, upper left of the screen. The sign of benediction. Ooh. Oh my goodness. And then, are these the fleur-de-lis? Are these the fleur-de-lis? But they're all crooked like. What the hell? Why are the fleur-de-lis crooked? Oh my God. What the hell? And look at these wreaths. That seem to be laurel wreaths. Oh my good. And more aquillas. And, eagles. And then there's thunderbolts. Oh, that's Jupiter. Oh, Lord, thunderbolts with arrows. And it looks like this eagle is on a little surfboard or like skateboard, but I don't know what that is. But there's little like thunderbolts with arrows at the end of, and I can't, oh my God. And are these beetles, like these bugs? It looks like flies, but I doubt that they would put flies because of, the association to flies with like fecal matter and trash. But there's the aquila, and then there's more of these, like, I think they're probably beetles, and beetles probably goes back to the Egyptian pharaohs. I'm not sure, but that's my, assumption at this moment in time. All right. And then we got these eagles wearing these pendants. Oh my God. And the thunderbolts, that's Jupiter, that's Zeus. We have been talking about Jupiter a little bit. I need to look at this a little closer. Oh my goodness. I've just uncovered something, everybody. But, what is the motto? Liberté, ordre, public. Liberty and public order. Okay. Let's ensure, veillons au salut de l'Empire. Let's ensure the salvation of the empire. Oh my God. Holy shit. Historians refer to Napoleon's first regime as the First Empire to distinguish it from the Restorationist Second Empire, ruled by his nephew, Napoleon III. Neither should be confused with the French colonial empire, which refers to France's various colonies, protectorates, and mandate territories all throughout its history, regardless of political system. Okay. Napoleon III, eh? Like the FBI as we know it in the United States. We have Napoleon to thank for it. Not because he did it deliberately. No, like the FBI started out as something else, and then it was renamed to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But I think one of Napoleon's grandnephews, yeah, there's a branch of the Bonaparte family in the United States, don't you know? And one of Napoleon's I think it, please don't quote me, because I would need to have it in front of me to be able to quote it directly and accurately and correctly to you. But one of Napoleon's grandnephews has something important to do with the formation of the American Federal Bureau of Investigation, also known as the FBI. But anyway, that's what I was telling you. That's why Bourbon is mentioned in The Shining, because all this such and such here. I'm going to try not to cuss as much as I used to. YouTube doesn't like me cussing. But here's Napoleon. Here he is, the Emperor Napoleon, in his study at the Tuileries by Jacques-Louis David. Oh, look at this. Let's look at this. Look at, oh. Oh, is that thing on his chest from is that the Order of the Knights of Malta? I should probably look them up too. And there he is with his hand hidden under his, what is this thing called? Like his shirtwaist? Ay, kids. There's a lot going on, isn't there? Isn't there? I have to look up this thing. Why is this so important? Why is it on his chest? This Knights of Malta thing. And there's his hand underneath his shirtwaist. I think that's called a shirtwaist. And then he's got this thing in his hand. Wait a minute. What is this? It looks like it's made of gold. It's in his left hand, but he's hiding his right hand under this vest that he's wearing. Let's see his feet. He's wearing these darling little shoes with the buckles on them. And then there's this chair. Ooh, there's that, I have to look up these bugs. I know they're not flies, but they are something. Oh my God. I wonder if if this chair is anywhere in a museum. Then there's a sword over here. Okay. All right. And then there's papers on the table in front of his chair, or throne, or whatever this thing is. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Is this this scroll over here? The scroll design on the chair that I'm circling with my cursor. Is that supposed to be reminiscent of the Eye of Ra? Oh my God, what is this? Why are his suspenders hanging off of this? Is that a suspender? Or something else? Oh, y'all, look. Oh, and then there's this very mysterious book on this table. I guess this is his writing table, right? This is in his study. Here's some candles. One candle has been put out. The other candle is on its way. It's almost down to the very bottom. All right. And then he's got his quill. I get like his writing instrument is here. Oh, look at the lion. Oh my goodness. Look at the lion. The imperial lion. But the imperial lion looks worried. Look, it has furrowed brow. Oh my goodness. Y'all, I'm sorry. I just can't help myself. I got an art history background and I use it whenever I can. I need to, oof, Lord, do I need to, analyze that there. But anyway, so Napoleonic era, 1799 to 1815, coincides with not the reign, but the claimant reign, I guess. He was supposed to be king, but he wasn't able to do that because Napoleon, stole his thunder, literally. So I guess he was in exile, and then he comes back in 1814 to 1824. And then after him, we have Charles X. But, okay, Louis the 18th. I think that's 18th. X, then V is 5, 1, 2, 3, 5 and 3 is 8. So, yeah, that's 18th. I'm not that stupid. But I surprise myself sometimes, But, this is why Stanley wants us to indirectly be aware of this, the Bourbon dynasty in France that Napoleon displaced, at least, while he was, doing his thing from the very late, 18th century into the beginning of the 19th century. Okay, and we talked about that. We talked about the First French Empire. That's what Stanley wants us to remember. He's letting us know, do not forget Napoleon. That's who I really want to talk about. And I need to do a separate video after I do video number 237 for you all. I need to do another video to explore maybe why Stanley seemed obsessed with Napoleon, because Napoleon is an impossible story. Napoleon never should have gotten as far as he got, as far as his political power and his military strength as a general. I think he was the general. Napoleon is a very unlikely story that doesn't happen in the real world. Napoleon's story is the kind of thing you read about in mythology, in fairy tales. It doesn't happen in the real world that a commoner, at least I think he was a commoner. I could be wrong about that too. He might have some ties to nobility or aristocracy that I've maybe seen glimmers of while I've been reading about Napoleon, but he was not a royal. There's what he did should have never happened, but it did. And I think that's one of the reasons why Stanley was so obsessed with him. But like I said, I'll come at you again with another video regarding that. Let me go ahead and move on to the next subject. What I want to do, this ugly son of a, here he is again. Stephen King. He did something stupid again, didn't he? And I don't know what he did, but I think he tweeted or something. something dumb. This sneezy over here. If you know, you know. But I don't give a damn. I don't care. I mean, I heard a little bit of a kerfuffle about it, but you know, I wasn't surprised. You know, if you've been with me all this time, you know how I feel about him. This one over here on the left. You know how I feel about Sneezy. And if you've been watching my videos for long enough, you know exactly why I call him Sneezy. Sneezy the snowman. I need to make up a song. But we're going to look at this article because it's important. Because my friend, I told you about both of them, like from Substack, Richard, Tankard of Tales, Stashy. Go to his channel, watch all of his videos 2 or 3 times. Okay. And Gershom, my frequent commenter and my indirect collaborator. You know, I don't do what Gershom says, but he definitely has an influence on my thinking. And he brings stuff up that, really do, like, kind of shock me. Because today, I think he DM'd me and he congratulated me on my, second, I guess, official, Substack post. And then he said something like, hold on, let me look at my phone. I'll read it to you, verbatim. Where you at, Gersh? Hold on. There you are. Yeah, he said, oh yeah. He said, oh, where is it? Oh no, it was in the comment of my latest post. Sorry. I'm out of the loop. I used to be a lot smoother when I'd make these videos, but now, nah. Oh, yes, he was asking about the last slide on one of the slides on my latest Instagram post. And then after that, he says, I thought they removed all the booths. I guess, you know, I don't know what you're implying, Gershom, but yes. And I said, wait a minute. Oh, Gersh, I said, you just made me think of something. Thank you. You're right. They did remove all the booze. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And that's why I'm going to read you this article when I get back from my own coffee break. I'm 52 minutes in. I don't know if I taught you anything or showed you anything. I hope I did at this point. But this is going to be the last, when I get back and start with this here, it's going to be the last part, or the second part, rather. Second half of the video. And I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, Gershom, they did remove all the booze. That's what we're going to talk about. Thanks to Gershom. Okay. So y'all go replenish your cups. Go get another bun. Get another cinnamon roll. Eat. Damn it. Life is short. Eat. And have your coffee or your tea or whatever. And I will regale you with this when we get back. So sit tight. I'll be right back. Okay. Hold on. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I had my little coffee. I hope you did the same. And like I said, I'm going to get into it. Thank you, Gershom, for like making my brain work. It's not easy all the time to get your brain to work. But here it is from Far Out magazine. This thing, the moment, this is the title of the article, the moment Stanley Kubrick asked Stephen King if he believed in God. Oh, Lord. This is from 2021, the 5th of August. It says here, Stanley Kubrick's 1980 adaptation of Stephen King's famous novel, The Shining, is considered by many to be one of the most iconic interpretations of the horror genre, starring Jack Nicholson as an insignificant writer. Again, if you've been riding with me all this time, you know exactly why I'm laughing. You're gonna have to, if you're new here, you're gonna have to do some catching up, watch some more videos. Starring, I'm gonna say it again because it's just so delicious. Starring Jack Nicholson as an insignificant writer named Jack Torrance, who slowly slips into the realm of insanity while hibernating. They don't sleep. What do you mean hibernating? Anyway, while hibernating in the isolation of the Overlook Hotel, The Shining is a fascinating chronicle of the human psyche's violent fragmentation. Possibly. I don't know. And we continue. A significant difference between Stephen King's literary vision that is at play in the novel and Kubrick's masterful revision is, that was one heck of a revision, is their respective choices of fundamental ideological frameworks upon which they build their work. According to King, the Overlook Hotel is haunted by the ghosts of those who have been subjected to brutal deaths within its premises. King insisted that the primary driving force behind the inevitable corruption of Jack's soul is the operation of supernatural forces in a heterotopic domain. Okay. All right. However, Kubrick did not believe in shifting the blame for a man's perversions on ghosts or supernatural entities. By depicting Jack as an unhinged psychopath with an all-consuming hunger for death and destruction, Kubrick subverted the biblical demarcations of morality. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and agree with that. That's a good way to put it. By depicting Jack as an unhinged psychopath with an all-consuming hunger for death and destruction, Kubrick subverted the biblical demarcations of morality. He sure did. Yes, he did. There is neither good nor evil in the Overlook Hotel, only the unrelenting horror of the human condition which unfolds as Jack's mind unravels. That I don't necessarily agree with. I don't know whose mind is unraveling. We're trying to figure that out. Is it Jack? Is it Wendy? It might even be Danny. Who knows? Due to this deviation from King's original intentions, the writer refused to accept the validity of Kubrick's masterpiece. King said, "He's made some of the movies that mean a lot to me, Dr. Strangelove for one, and Paths of Glory for another. I think he did some terrific things, but boy, he was a really insular man, in the sense that when you met him and when you talked to him, he was able to interact in a perfectly normal way, but you never felt like he was all the way there. He was inside himself." You no good little piece of shit. Fucking, ooh. See, this is one of the reasons why I don't like Stephen King. He's basically telling us that Stanley Kubrick was crazy. This is Stephen King's opinion. Never felt like he was all the way there. I'm sorry, that is double speak for, Stanley Kubrick. Stephen King thinks that Stanley Kubrick was, loco in the cocoa. I don't like it. I don't like that at all. See, Sneezy. I'm going to call him Sneezy forever. During the production process, I'll continue with this article. During the production process, King and Kubrick naturally had to come in contact with each other and even discussed various topics over the phone. King once revealed that the celebrated filmmaker tried to explain why he did not, oh Lord, he did not want to make a ghost story, claiming that such narratives were facile and optimistic because they implied the hopeful continuation of our existence beyond the void of death as ghosts. King tried to counter Kubrick's argument by asking him whether he considered the domain of hell to be optimistic, to which the director replied, "I don't believe in hell." Good for you, Stanley. Good for you. Neither do I, by the way. This wasn't the only interesting conversation that the two artistic giants engaged in. Kubrick was so frustrated about King's inability to understand his cynical view of humanity that he called the writer late at night only to ask him, "Do you believe in God?" Although King has stated 3 different versions, that's a good sign. The truth is always the same, yo. The truth is always that's one technique to figure out whether or not somebody's telling you the truth. Make it so that they have to tell you the same story like multiple times. If every time that story changes, there's a good chance it's not the truth. There. You're welcome. Use that in your life. It'll do you wonders. Anyway, although King has stated 3 different versions of what happened next in different interviews, the most popular one involves Kubrick explaining, "I knew it," and immediately hanging up. Ooh. See, I don't like him. I don't like him. This is my minute of hate. If you're an Orwell fan. Yeah, I don't like Stephen King at all. Kubrick fervently believed man isn't a noble savage. He's an ignoble savage. He is irrational, brutal, weak, silly, unable to be objective about anything where his own interests are involved. That about sums it up. I'm interested in... Excuse me, wait a minute. Who's interested? Oh, I guess this is a King quote. I'm interested in the brutal and violent nature of man because it's a true picture. Oh, is this... Wait, or is this Kubrick talking? Ay, ay, ay. I'm interested in the brutal and violent nature of man because it's a true picture of him. And any attempt to create social institutions on a false view of the nature of man is probably doomed to failure. And now, this is a little sloppy of them. They need to tell, oh, they say Kubrick fervently believed, okay, but they don't, in this paragraph, they don't say Kubrick fervently said. They said Kubrick fervently believed. Now, this could be coming from Stanley Kubrick, or it could be coming from Stephen King. See, I don't like that. I don't like that ambiguity. Tell me who said this. Be open and honest about who said this. Was it Stephen King or was it Stanley Kubrick? Ooh, that pisses me off. Anyway, these creative differences contributed to the misunderstanding between Kubrick and King, with the latter denouncing the film adaptation of his novel because he could not understand the overwhelming pessimism. Where's the pessimism? Sneezy. Where is the pessimism? I don't see the pessimism. And then, here we go. And I guess this is King's quote. That's what's wrong with Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Basically, the movie has no heart. There's no center to the picture. I wrote the book as a tragedy. And if it was a tragedy, it was because all the people loved each other. Here it seems there's no tragedy because there's nothing to be lost, the writer commented. In the movie, 2 people die. Halloran and Jack die. That's not tragic? That's not a loss? Halloran's death, like maybe you think Jack deserved it. Okay, cool. But like Halloran definitely didn't deserve to die. That's tragic. I don't like Stephen King. Okay, so apparently, this is Stephen King's. I think something tells me like this quote that I was like, really, they need to tell us who said this. I think that's really coming from King, not from Stanley Kubrick. That's just my opinion. But this is the article, the moment Stanley Kubrick asked Stephen King if he believed in God. Okay. All right. Well, what we're talking about, because again, Gershom did this to me. He made me think about this. Booze. He said they removed all the booze from the Overlook Hotel. Right? Okay. And so here is, from Goodreads, okay, this is what I could find. Stanley Kubrick's opinion of ghosts or ghost stories. He says, I'm going to go ahead and take their word for it, that this is a quote directly from Stanley Kubrick. Ghost stories appeal. I can't read tonight for a damn. Ghost stories appeal to our craving for Oh, people. Let me start all over. I'm sorry. One more time. Let's get it right this time. Ghost stories appeal to our craving for immortality. If you can be afraid of a ghost, then you have to believe that a ghost may exist. And if a ghost exists, then oblivion might not be the end. So, he says ghost stories are optimistic. They're hopeful. Ghost stories make us believe, okay, yeah, there is something after death. Right? Now, that's not good enough for me. So, you should know that by now. So I found this page, just by accident, on Wikipedia. It says Political and Religious Beliefs of Stanley Kubrick. Okay, I'm not really interested in his politics right now, but I'm interested in what he had to say about religion. So here is the religion section. There's politics and religion. Kubrick came from a secular family background and was known to have said that he was not really a Jew. He just happened to have 2 Jewish parents. Though his father's legal name was Jacob, he went by Jacques or Jack as a move towards American assimilation. When asked by Michael Cement in an interview if he had a religious upbringing, Kubrick replied, "No, not at all." In Kubrick's interview with Craig McGregor, he said, now, see, I like this because these are quotes directly attributable to Stanley Kubrick, not what Stephen King said Stanley Kubrick said. You see the difference? I hope you do. Anyway, in Kubrick's interview with Craig McGregor, he said, 2001 would give a little insight into my metaphysical interests. I'd be very surprised if the universe wasn't full of intelligence of an order that to us would seem godlike. I find it very exciting to have a semi-logical belief that there's a great deal to the universe we don't understand, and that there is an intelligence of an incredible magnitude outside the earth. It's something I've become more and more interested in. I find it very exciting and satisfying. I find it a very exciting and satisfying hope. Okay. All right. So, oh, Lord. I'm not going to read all of this, but again, you can find this page too. It's called Political and Religious Beliefs of Stanley Kubrick. Okay. So there's the one about like whether or not he believes in God, or he was raised by Jewish people, but he doesn't consider himself like, I guess, religiously Jewish. His idea of God, you know. Okay, we just read that. And then in the same, this from a Playboy interview, there he says, I will say that the God concept is at the heart of 2001, but not any traditional anthropomorphic image of God. I don't believe in any of Earth's monotheistic religions, but another place where me and Stanley agree. But I do believe that one can construct an intriguing scientific definition of God once you accept the fact that there are approximately 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone, that each star is a life-giving sun, and that there are probably 100 billion galaxies in just the visible universe. Okay, cool. There's another one. It says, no, that's not the one I'm looking for. Here we go. In a 1969 interview to American cinematographer, Kubrick said, the whole idea of God is absurd. If anything, 2001 shows that what some people call God is simply an acceptable term for their ignorance. What they don't understand, they call God. Everything we know about the universe reveals that there is no God. I chose to do Dr. Arthur C. Clarke's story as a film because it highlights a critical factor necessary for human evolution, that is, beyond our present condition. This film is a rejection of the notion that there is a God. Isn't that obvious? Ooh. So that monolith showing up with those ape-like creatures? Stanley's telling us that's like an alien intelligence, that's not God. Oh my. Okay. He also commented on people who saw religious or spiritual connotations in 2001. It's simply not there, he says. Religion and spirituality. Sufficiently advanced beings could be capable of things we might not even be able to understand. Though these things would all make perfect sense to an advanced civilization, I suspect that these people to whom you refer are simply calling what they don't understand in my film God. Ooh, Lord. This is good. This is good. There's a Stephen King story again. Unbelievable. Oh, okay, this is one I really wanted to read to you. Finally, Katharina Kubrick Hobbs, that's his daughter, was asked by Alt Movies Kubrick if Stanley Kubrick believed in God. Here is her response. Tricky. I think he believed in something, if you understand my meaning. He was a bit of a fatalist, actually, but he was also very superstitious. Truly a mixture of nature and nurture. I don't know exactly what he believed. He probably would have said that no one can really ever know for sure, and that it would be rather ignorant to assume that one could know. I asked him once after The Shining if he believed in ghosts. He said that it would be nice if there were ghosts, as that would imply that there is something after death. In fact, I think he said, gee, I hope so. He did not have a religious funeral service. He's not buried in consecrated ground. We always celebrated Christmas and had huge Christmas trees. Isn't that interesting? Here's another one. In Stanley Kubrick, A Life in Pictures, Jack Nicholson recalls that Kubrick said The Shining is an overall optimistic story because anything that says there's anything after death is ultimately an optimistic story. Stephen King recounts, we already talked about that, but Stephen King recounts hearing the same thing from Kubrick in conversation with him and replied, what about hell? King says that there was a pause, and Kubrick answered, I do not believe in hell. But he celebrated Christmas. Ooh. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, I'm especially interested in the ghost thing, right? You might not be able to see why yet, but it's important. It's the reason why you're here. Jack Daniels, another word for ghost, the Holy Ghost, or any kind of ghost, is a spirit. And as Gershom told me, or reminded me in that comment today on Instagram, what did he say? Let me read it to you again. He said, Gershom said, I thought they removed all the booze. And then he put two, ghost emojis next to it. Yeah, they did. They did remove all the booze. I won't leave you hanging. They did remove all the booze. They removed all the Jack Daniels, all the Jim Beam, all the Wild Turkey, every single last kind of liquor or alcoholic beverage. They removed. That's what Ullman said. We removed all the booze for insurance purposes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you guys do you understand what I'm trying to say? While I'm showing you a picture of Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey, also known as bourbon, legally and technically. There are no spirits. Do you understand me? There are no spirits. There's no booze, there's no alcohol, there's no liquor, there's no spirits at the Overlook Hotel. They took them all out. Stanley is telling you with that line of dialogue, or that couple of lines of dialogue, there are no spirits in the movie. There are no spirits in the Overlook Hotel. There's no alcohol. Therefore, there are no ghosts. Whatever you're looking at in The Shining, you cannot blame it on ghosts. You cannot say that what you're looking at is happening in the world of the movie because of anything supernatural. There are no deities. There are no ghosts, goblins, whatever. No spirits. No spirits. Nothing religious. At all. Whatsoever. He gave you the key with that line. Thank you, Gershom. He gave you the key with those lines spoken by Ullman that, no, they remove all the booze for insurance purposes. He's letting you know that The Shining is not a ghost story or a religious story. It is not a story where either a god or a goddess or some kind of deity is affecting whatever is going on in the world of the movie. It is not a story where, the havoc you see happening in the movie is a result of some ghost is angry and there to, settle a score, a vendetta, get some revenge. No. You cannot blame it on the ghosts. That's what Stanley told us. pretty plainly when you really think about it. They removed all the booze. And I think Ullman goes on to say, I think Wendy says, oh, we could have a really great party up in here. And Ullman's like, not unless you bring your own stuff. Not unless you bring your own alcohol, because there ain't none here. We took it all out for insurance purposes. So the only ghosts, oh Lord, this is getting a little complicated. But if there are ghosts in the hotel, or spirits, anything religious, anything supernatural, it's not because the hotel left them there. The only way that they could be there is if Jack and Wendy brought them in that little yellow Volkswagen Beetle. The chances of that are slim to none, because Jack tells Ullman, oh, we don't drink. Okay, that is not a conversation about alcohol. That is not a conversation about liquor, wine, beer, booze, hooch, whatever you want to call it. No, it's a conversation about spirits, ghosts, ideas about the supernatural, religious beliefs. And Stanley is saying, they're not here. They're not in this movie. You cannot rely on that to explain anything. And then what is, okay, cool. Stanley, heard you. Sir, yes, sir. I heard you. All right. Now what? If all the weird stuff you see in the hotel, in the Overlook, all right, is not a result of booze, spirits, ghosts, then what's going on? What in the blue such and such is going on? Okay, here's the story. I wanted you to look at this right quick, and then I think I'll be done after I go through this little bit. Think about that. Please put it in the comments. Tell me how you feel about that. Tell me if you think I got it wrong. I don't think I got it wrong. But I am open to suggestions. I am open to, I always tell you, I know I could be wrong. Do I think I'm wrong? No. Of course not. Who thinks they're wrong? But I know it's a possibility. I do. I know it's a possibility that I might be wrong. And I don't have any problem with people in a respectful way telling me, okay, where I might have made an error in logic or whatever. That's cool. Tell me. Go ahead. Be respectful. But yeah, go ahead and tell me. I think, you can't blame it on the ghosts. We cannot blame, Lloyd is not a ghost. Grady, the waiter, is not a ghost. The naked lady, she ain't no ghost either. All those people at the party, not ghosts. The man in the bear costume and the man in the tuxedo upstairs, when Wendy's running through the hotel, they're not ghosts either. The visions that Danny and Wendy have of the blood coming out of the elevator, that has nothing to do with any ghosts. No spirits, no booze. Then what is it? Okay. Let me do this little last part and then I'll let you go. Jack Daniel, Jasper Newton, Jack Daniel, circa, his birth, circa 1849, death, October 9th, 1911, was an American distiller and businessman, best known as the founder of the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey Distillery. And there's his biography, okay, and his personal life. It is safe. Oh my goodness. And so on and so. It's not an extremely interesting biography, to me anyway. The most interesting part of it is the part I already mentioned. Lord Jesus, his grandfather was named Job. Oh, these old-fashioned people and their biblical names. My God. Daniel was the youngest of 10 children born to Callaway and Lucinda Matilda née Cook Daniel. He was of Scots, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh descent. His grandfather, Joseph Job Daniel, was born in Wales, while his grandmother, Elizabeth Callaway, was born in Scotland. His paternal grandparents emigrated to the United States in the late 18th century. Okay. Nobody knows when he was really born. Some people say 1846. Some people say 1849. Some people say 1850. Okay. According to one source, he was born in January 1849. I thought he was a Virgo. Wait a minute. In or around Lynchburg, Tennessee. All right. Whatever. But the most interesting thing is that his real name is Jasper. Okay, that's what I find fascinating. So I said, okay, Miss M, why don't you go look up Jasper? And I did. You're going to love this. I'm about to kill you with this one. Jasper, given name. Jasper is a masculine name of Persian origin, meaning treasurer. I'll read that again. Jasper is a masculine name of Persian origin, meaning treasurer. The etymology of the given name Jasper of Persian origin is unrelated to that of the gemstone Jasper of Semitic origin. Okay. So, ooh, look at this over here. They don't put this in the article. Why don't they put it in the article? Ah, yeah, they just give you a big ass list of people named Jasper. Ah, yeah. Okay, hold on. But it says, okay, Persian, meaning treasure. All right. But there's also a stone called Jasper of Semitic origin. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. And it says here, Jasper is said to have been the name of one of the 3 wise men who visited Jesus Christ after his birth. Interesting. Okay. So let's go on over here. So, okay, Jasper is Persian for treasurer. The gold room. I know there's a lot of like Kubrick and Shining conspiracy theorists who connect the gold room to like the Federal Reserve. And if y'all been keeping an eye on the news with Jerome Powell and all this stuff, phew, Lord, that's some tea. But that's not the kind of channel I do. But okay, so like yeah, a lot of conspiracy theorists say the gold room is really like Fort Knox or whatever. Okay, I don't believe it. But the fact that Jack Daniel's real name is Jasper, and Jasper means treasurer in Persian. I'm sorry, I can't ignore that. I cannot ignore that. And I won't. I will not ignore that. I'm not going to like make anything of it yet. But don't you find that interesting? Don't you find that interesting that Jack Daniel's real first name is Jasper and Jasper means treasury, and the bottle of Jack Daniels that we see in the movie is right there in the gold room? That could be interpreted as a sort of treasury. And the treasury, we think of it as an economic institution like the Fed or whatever. But like really historically, the treasury was a religious institution. That's where they kept like these ancient pagan religions. That's where they kept their offerings that people would bring them in the form of artworks. People would make artworks and give them to the church, not the church, but like, the religious organization. And that religious organization would store those items in what was called a treasury. Okay? Like votive pieces, all kinds of stuff, right? So, but they had to say, like they said, which I'm glad they said, the etymology of the given name Jasper of Persian origin is unrelated to that of the gemstone Jasper. Okay. Let's look it up. Here it is. Jasper is an aggregate of microgranular quartz and or cryptocrystalline chalcedony and other mineral phases, is an opaque, impure variety of silica, also known as sand, usually red, yellow, brown, or green in color, and rarely blue. The common red color is due to iron inclusions. Jasper breaks with a smooth surface and is useful for ornamentation or as a gemstone. It can be highly polished and is used for items such as vases, seals, and snuff boxes. Interesting. The density of jasper is typically 2.5 to 2.9 grams per centimeter cubed. Jasperite is a branded iron formation rock that often has distinctive bands of jasper. Okay. The name means spotted or speckled stone, as you can see here. This one is from Romania, and is derived via Old French jaspe, variant of Anglo-Norman jasp, and Latin iaspidem, I guess nominative, iaspis. From Greek, I can't pronounce that, iaspis. From an Afro-Asiatic language, cf. Hebrew, or Akkadian, yaspech, yashupu. The Semitic etymology is believed to be unrelated to that of the English given name Jasper, which is of Persian origin, though the Persian word for the mineral jasper is also yashum. Okay. Interesting. All right. Jasper is interesting and important in history. Okay. So the name is Persian origin. It means treasury. Okay. Or is it treasury or treasurer? Treasurer. Okay. So Jack Daniels is the treasurer. Oh, I see. Old number 7 is the treasurer. Okay. Or either it's the treasurer or it's this rock. Okay. Aggregate of microangular quartz and or cryptocrystalline chalcedony. Okay. So where am I going with this and why? Well, here. Covenant memory, right? What is this? This is Bible Hub, where they do like breakdowns of biblical terms and ideas and things like that. And here it is, topical lexicon, biblical occurrences of jasper, or I guess the way it's said in Hebrew, yashepech. I hope I didn't pronounce that too badly. Yashepech, yashepeh. Alrighty, yashepeh. The PH is really a f. Yashepeh. Alright, jasper. Alright, a gem supposed to be jasper, from the resemblance in name. Alright, and down here, geopolitical and cultural background, biblical occurrences, Exodus. Oh, that's interesting. Ancient jasper was an opaque variety of quartz displaying mottled hues of red, brown, green, or a combination of these colors. Well-known quarries existed in the regions east of the Jordan and in Egypt's eastern desert. Trade routes carried the stone through Canaan long before the Exodus. Because jasper could be polished to a glass-like sheen, it was highly prized in royal treasuries. Treasuries across the ancient Near East for signet rings, cylinder seals, and inlaid furniture. Its durability made it a fitting emblem of permanence and covenant reliability. Here's the interesting part to me. Symbolism in the priestly breastplate. The Lord directed Moses to place jasper in the 4th row of the high priest's breastplate of judgment. And in the 4th row is the quote from Exodus, chapter 28, verse 20. And in the 4th row of beryl, an onyx, and a jasper, they were mounted in gold filigree settings. Covenant memory. 12 stones bore the names of the sons of Israel. Ancient Jewish tradition often links the final stone, jasper, with Benjamin, the youngest son, completing the covenant family circle. Divine assessment. The breastplate was called the breastpiece of judgment because it rested over the priest's heart when he entered the sanctuary. Jasper, durable and resistant to fracture, aptly pictures the Lord's unchanging standards by which he evaluates his people. Intercession. As Aaron carried all 12 stones continually before the Lord, jasper reminded Israel that even the least and the last tribe was born on the priest's heart. The gospel later reveals the greater high priest who carries every believer from greatest to least into the heavenly sanctuary. Okay. Interesting, no? All right. It says here, summary. Jasper appears sparingly in the Old Testament, yet its strategic placement on the high priest's heart and in a royal diadem imbues it with lasting theological weight. Hard, brilliant, and valued, it testifies to the steadfast glory of God, the completeness of his covenant people, and the certainty of his righteous rule from Eden to the New Jerusalem. Okay. All right. I just think that's interesting. Jasper might mean treasurer, but it also might mean this. It's the same word. And why are we here? Once again, because, oh no, not that. This. Because Jack Daniel, right? This is why we're here. I told you in that article. What did it say in the article? I read it to you again. I said, where the hell did I say it? Yes, I did. Let me use this essay to give you a peek behind the curtain. You'd be surprised where that bottle of Jack Daniels has taken me. Are you surprised? I'm surprised. And I was the one who did it. I'm the one who's been researching this. And one more thing, the priestly breastplate, okay? So this is, an image of a ceramic replica of the high priest's breastplate. And this last stone down here, I think the bottom right blue stone, that's the jasper, which they say usually isn't blue, but okay. The priestly breastplate the breastplate of judgment, the Hoshen, was a sacred breastplate worn by the high priest of the Israelites, according to the book of Exodus. In the biblical account, the breastplate is termed the breastplate of judgment. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Hoshen Mishpat, because the Urim and Thummim were placed upon it. And Urim and Thummim are their, I guess they're elements of this breastplate. They're the things that make it up. These elements of the breastplate are said in the Exodus verse to carry the judgment of God concerning the Israelites at all times. Now, I don't know what to make of this because I am not like a Bible scholar. I am not, definitely not a scholar of Jewish scripture. No, absolutely not. But I find this interesting. Don't you not? Do you not? Do you all not find this interesting? That, like, how I got here in the first place. Again, Jack Daniels. His real name is Jasper. And he could be either the treasurer, which would make the gold room the treasury, because that's where we find that bottle of Jack Daniels. And I told you in the ancient world, the pre-Christian world, what a treasury really kind of meant. And here we are in the Old Testament. Is this the Tanakh? I'm not sure. The Tanakh, the Torah, the book of Exodus. All right. And we go all the way back to Abraham and Isaac and Moses and all the way back to Adam, really. Okay. And let's see, the fourth row, that's where the jasper is. The fourth row, and each of these stones means something, right? But here, the Yoshphe, Jaspis in the Septuagint, and Josephus. Although Yoshphe and Jaspis are cognate to jasper, they do not quite have the same meaning. While jasper can be any color, the mineral which the Greeks called jaspis was generally a blue or green, one of the most prized forms of jasper, and scholars think this is most likely to be the color referred to by Yoshphe. Since a blue chalcedony has been found bearing an Elamite inscription calling it Yashpu, clearly a cognate of both Yoshphe and Jaspis, the Bible stone has been identified as a blue chalcedony. I hope I'm pronouncing the word chalcedony right. Anyway, in the Targums, where the jewel is variously identified as a ruby, which is red, as a hyacinth, which is yellow, or as an emerald, which is green. In the Babylonian Talmud, one option states that the gemstone was the same as kadkod, a stone described by Bar Ali as being al-Karkahan, the Baghdadi onyx, a kind of gemstone from which they cut smaller stones for setting in ouches, O-U-C-H-E-S, ouches. Rabbi Sadia Gaon, however, in his Judeo-Arabic translation of Isaiah, translates kadkod as karkand, a red variety of precious stone. Josephus, quoting from one version of the Septuagint, says it was beryl. Numbers Rabbah 2:7 says that the stone was varicolored, meaning all the colors combined were to be found in the yashifeh. Oh my goodness. Okay. I could not tell you about that. All right. I don't know exactly what it means, but I know it means something. And was the question underlying all of this is, does Stanley know what it means? Okay. Did Stanley know that Jack Daniel's real given name was Jasper, and then that Jasper in Persian means treasurer? He says he was raised by two Jewish people, but that doesn't really make him Jewish. I don't know. Did he get bar mitzvahed? Or did he read the scriptures? I don't know. He was a smart man who seemed to enjoy reading, so why wouldn't he? But again, we can't really know. I told you what his daughter had to say. Katerina. Where is she? There she is. Yes, Katerina Kubrick-Hobbs. Did he believe in God? She said, tricky. He didn't believe in hell. He told that to Jack Nicholson and Sneezy. He said ghost stories are optimistic and hopeful. When his daughter asked him, do you believe in ghosts? He said, do you think ghosts are real? He said, gee, I hope so. Oh my. But Gershom is the one who told me. They took out all the booze and those little ghost emojis. Yeah, they did. They took out all the booze, all the spirits, all the ghosts. Ain't no ghost up in there. Ain't no ghost up at the Overlook Hotel. Okay, you guys, I have kept you on the line for a while, haven't I? So, I hope you enjoyed your coffee, or your whiskey, or your bourbon, or your Bourbon. Ay, ay, ay. We did quite a bit, didn't we, today? We had a marvelous, raucous, good time. Lesson. We talked about French monarchy. We talked about Napoleon, good old Naps Bonaparte, First French Empire. I would have rather skipped this, to be honest with you. I don't like reading this article with Stephen King telling more lies. I really don't. But it had to be done. Sometimes you just got to do what you don't want to do. We talked about Stanley's belief in either the supernatural or the afterlife. We talked about the etymology of the name Jasper. We talked about the creator of the liquor featured in the movie, right? The Jack Daniel, also known as Jasper Newton Jack Daniel. Right? We talked about Jasper, the Persian word for treasurer. We talked about Jasper as the word for the 12th stone on the high priest's breastplate. All right, and what it means as far as the Jewish people are concerned, and their celebrations and their beliefs. It's judgment ultimately. That God doesn't switch it up. He does not. God does not change his mind about how he's going to do things. God has made up his mind as far as, the scriptures are concerned. God doesn't say, okay, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to change the way I judge people and their behavior. No. Not even a little bit. And if you think, again, if you're new to this channel, if you made it all the way to this point in the video, thank you. But you might say, what is she talking about? Why is she mentioning Judaism and the Exodus and and Benjamin and all this stuff? Well, okay, you really need to look at some more of my videos. Stanley gave us, remember the Haggadah, the Maxwell House coffee brand, and y'all who know, you've been with me for a little while. right? Passover. All right. And that, oh, and I always connected to that song by Metallica, Creeping Death. Anyway, I hope you had a good time. I hope I had a marvelous time. And I didn't have one drop to drink, of anything other than coffee. I hope you enjoyed the coffee. I hope you enjoyed this exploration. I hope we all learned something. I know I did. And I think, thank you for being here. Thank you for being, thank you for watching this video if you're new. So thank you for being new if you're new. Thank you for coming back if you're one of my regulars. Check me out on Substack. Links right up in here. Just click on these links, you'll find it. Subscribe to me here if you haven't already. Like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to me on Substack. I'm coming back with another essay next week. I think Thursday is going to be my day when I drop my essays on Substack. Like, if you want to plan, if you want to mark your calendars or give yourself a little reminder on your phone. Yeah, Thursday's going to be the day. I love Thursdays. I was born on a Thursday. I was. Like that song by Yvette. Is it Yvette? Or somebody else? Born in a back alley on a Thursday. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to write about next week, but I'm working on it. It's going to be something. It's going to be probably something that, like, I can draw ideas from the videos I've already made. Anyway, so this is video number 236. Next one, Understanding the Shining, part 23, is going to be lucky number 237. I hope you're going to be around to watch that. Again, like, comment, subscribe, both here and on Substack. Follow me on IG, follow me on X, Twitter, whatever. I've got to buy me a coffee. If you want to buy me a coffee, please do. I go through a lot of coffee making these videos. So, and so do you watching them. So anyway, thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. If you're one of my older subscribers or one of my newer subscribers, it doesn't matter. The fact that you're here means a great deal to me. I appreciate all of you so very, very much. And, I can't wait for the comments. I love the comments. So until next time, you guys, until the next time when I find yet another reason to make one of these videos and talk at you, I'm going to go ahead and bid you bye-bye. So, bye-bye, everybody.